Hey, what's up guys, this is Liam or Weagle on your Overwatch, back with a new video. Today we're going to be talking about Torbjorn. At long last we are doing a guide on our favourite dwarven hero. We're going to be talking about where to put his turrets, where you shouldn't put his turrets, talk about most of his kit and where and when you should not pick him. The first thing I want to get out of the way is that Torbjorn is a niche pick hero and is very good on some maps and on some points, and not very good at all on some other ones. The first thing I want to get straight into is where to place your turrets. Now there's a big portion of Torbjorn players that at the start of a map will go and put their turret near the enemy spawn to build off some charge, and there are some pros and cons to this. People do this specifically on maps like Hollywood. They also do it on Hanamura too, and it's in order to try and get your ult charge quicker. But one thing you have to be very careful of when doing this is, one, if the enemy team sees you from their spawn point, they'll be able to counter you straight away before the game even starts. They'll think, oh, they have a Torbjorn, let's take Farah or Widow or Hanzo, and they'll be able to destroy your turret straight away. Another thing that can happen if you're not very careful as well is that the enemy team may not see you place your turret there, and you may get your 5 or 10% charge from shooting the enemies when they don't realize, but then you might not be able to get your actual turret down in the real position you want at the right time. Depending on if you spawn at the back and if you don't take the direct route and you don't have a Lucio, actually getting that turret down in the enemy spawn to then walk back to the point and place it in a good position for when they come for the fight in between that tiny little gap can be a really scary gap to try and fill, and the enemy team may be able to destroy that turret and have someone at the choke ready to destroy your other one, completely stripping you of your main source of value before a team fight has even began. So you have to be very careful of that. You have to weigh up the option, is this good or isn't? If you're at a lower rank, it's very likely that you will get away with this. You'll get a lot of charge at the start and it will all be good. But the higher rank that you are, the more likely it is the enemy team will be able to pounce on that opportunity that you didn't get your turret down at the start, or the opportunity that they already know what hero they have to counter before they leave spawn. In terms of where to place these turrets, any kind of off angle on any of the spawns and the maps where Torbjorn's good, like Hollywood or Hanamura or most of the 2CP maps, Horizon and Colony is another one, you can place these turrets to some effect. But where do you actually place your turrets, and why do you place your turret in a specific area when you decide to put it somewhere near the main point? Now we're going to use Hollywood as the main example because Hollywood is probably the strongest Torbjorn map, very close to Numbani as well, where he is really strong. And the reason he's so strong here is because the turret can be put on the stairs right at the back of the map, where it's at an off angle, very difficult for the enemies to get, and will always be doing constant chip damage to anyone that tries to engage on your team in any way. This turret is so good because it's in a position where the enemies pretty much can't engage at all without it shooting someone, meaning you get easier charge, meaning when they dedicate to the fight, that makes your ult better. It's an extremely strong place to put your turret. And another good thing about this turret position as well is it does not rely so much on having an Orisa or a Reinhardt to shield it as much as it does on other points. Hanamura behind the rock, for an example, is another really good turret position, but if you don't have the correct shielding at the choke, someone will just spam it down with Junkrat or Hanzo or Widow, and that turret position, no matter how good it is not as good as the one on Hollywood. So you have to be careful with your turrets and what maps you're trying to place them on. You can run it on attack to meme someone sometimes, but other heroes are better suited to that. And for this guide, I want to recommend to you guys that you're only playing him on defense and only on the maps where it really is possible, where there are these off angles that you can place your turrets. I'll show you some on screen now, some good turret positions on some maps. But the next thing I want to talk about is, well, what when you've had a couple of pushes and the enemy team have maybe discovered where you're putting your turret? Well, the next best thing to do is find another off angle where you can utilize your turret in a way that they won't expect. The best example that I've ever done of this is on second point on Hanamura, and the enemy team are trying to come in for the final push, and I've put the turret behind them because they had to dedicate to this fight. The reason I'm not going through exactly every turret spot on every map in this video is because it all depends on what the enemy team are doing, and it's all about using it to your advantage in any given game. Sometimes I can swap up that Hollywood position to the complete opposite side, or even in the health pack room, so that when the enemies come in and expect to have to go and deal with that threat at the back, it's not where they expect it to be. So swapping up your turret positions is always something you want to be aiming to do when playing Torbjorn. The last thing is, well, what about your job as Torbjorn when your turret's there? Your turret's there to be an extra arm for your team, so extra damage that's coming out for your team in order to give the enemy more threats to deal with. So where do you stand as Torbjorn? And again, this can differ in many ways, because you may want to put your turret off to a point where you know it will get destroyed, but the first push, it might do some decent damage. So maybe you want to sit away from your turret and then get it into a better position when you've got that initial surprise out. But one thing I would recommend is that a lot of the time you do want to be near your turret. You want to be in a place not only so that you can repair the turret, but it can also protect you and you protect it as well. A big mistake Winstons have made, which I'm sure you guys know, is diving the turret that is in these key positions, and then he just gets melted by your shotgun because you shoot him in the face, which is a massively underrated part of Torbjorn we'll get into in a minute. And staying with your turret gives the enemy a double threat to deal with. It turns your 1v1 as Torbjorn against the enemy into a 2v1 with the use of your turret. The fact that it doesn't do loads of DPS is not the point here. The fact that it's something that is doing some damage that will distract that enemy is enough for you to get your shotgun in close and shoot things in the face. The last thing to mention about turrets is that if yours has been destroyed and you are in a fight and the cooldown is off, make sure you just throw down a single turret. Just click shift or equivalent on console, throw that turret down when it's off cooldown, and it will just be, again, an extra threat for you to either retake with or to place down in the mid-fight if yours unfortunately has been destroyed. The most important thing when it comes to turret placement, guys, is creativity. You want to be throwing down these turrets in the best positions at the start of the game, and then making sure you move them around during later fights if the enemies seem like they're dedicating to destroy it. If it never feels like they're getting close enough to that turret to do significant damage to it, then just leave it there. You're going to win easily. But there are no best turret positions apart from a few of the ones I would have shown you. Apart from that, it's all kind of personal preference, what the enemy team are running, diving, who you want to protect on your team. Do you have an Orisa you want to put it behind? Any off angle that the enemy team have to over dedicate to get to is exactly where you want your turret. The next thing I want to talk about is another massively underrated part of Torbjorn's kit, and that is actually his armor packs. Now these are effectively mini health packs, but armor actually also takes less damage. So this is better than a mini health pack that you can actually give to your teammates to boost up your armor so that your next fight is easier. We all know that. One little tip I'll give you is make sure you throw down your armor before you pick up more scrap, because you only can have a maximum of 200. So you want to constantly be giving out your armor packs. And this is something that I personally struggle with, and you will have seen in the gameplay that I forget to throw out my armor packs sometimes. But one thing I don't forget to do, and one reason that I do keep a bit more armor than I need in my pocket sometimes, is you can self-heal with it if you're in a fight that looks like it's going south. Or if your teammate is in trouble, you can physically throw your armor pack at a teammate in order to give them that instant HP and that instant survivability, and that can be the edge and the difference to so many different fights and individual battles in the mid-fight. And while this is all going on, while you're shooting things in the face and healing your teammates, your turret is still in that great position to be doing that chip damage. So you can take a second out to become a healer. Torbjorn's the support, you heard it here first. But seriously, it's really good and something you want to consider. Throwing it at your teammates, keeping some in your pocket for actually the mid-fight, not the start of the fight, is another very good use that you can get out of Torbjorn that a lot of people don't think about. So we've been through the main parts of his kit, but he's still got some stuff that's very important. Let's talk about his main fire, his primary left click or right trigger fire. This is the one that has a massive dip, a really long travel time, but also 140 guaranteed damage at any range if you manage to hit this in the head. Now, past about 15 meters, there's obviously a lot of luck, a lot of prediction involved in this, but one thing it is always good for, with or without your Molten Core Ultimate activated, is actually being a laning tool for when an enemy team are trying to push you. It's very good for spamming. Accuracy doesn't matter in Overwatch, so trying to get some shots off to charge your ultimate and do some big chunk damage as well to the enemies can be used in a really big way. Using it for that laning tool is fairly simple and doesn't really require much more information than that. If they're trying to come down a lane, it's an incredibly useful tool for that. But what you want to be doing is getting used to them predictions and the dip at a slightly closer range. I can show you a clip where a Mercy tries to fly in and I shoot her straight in the face just before she reses. Being able to get this mid-range utility down in order to do massive chunks of 140 damage, which I believe is slightly less than what Mei can do at close range and is the same as a McCree headshot, is a huge tool you want to be able to utilize in your arsenal. So you can learn these other things, like the turret is a great tool against the flankers and it's great to be able to heal people with armor packs, but the true mastery in Torb becomes when you can do all of this stuff but actually be able to hit them left clicks at a medium range. It's something that I'm still learning as I've been playing Torb more and more, and you can get to the higher ranks without even being amazing at that left click primary fire, but when you get it down and you get off them shots and you hit multiple headshots in a row, you deal massive damage. So you want to be trying to learn them predictions as well as you can. The right click is kind of the opposite. It's the easier fire for him to use, and it is his shotgun, which, as I already explained, you can use that to fend off diving things onto either your healers or if things are diving your turret, especially a Winston or a Diva. If you can just get off a right click or two into the head of one of these two heroes, they're going to go down really quickly. This leads me to the last part of Torbjorn's kit, and again another underrated part of Torbjorn, and that is his ultimate, Molten Core. If an enemy team dedicates to a fight, and this is where the true skill of this ultimate comes in, is the initiation part. When do you press that Q button in order to activate Molten Core and have your turret deal out all the damage in the world, as well as you, who has more armor and can shoot faster, and all of that other good stuff we've talked about is just amplified in a big way. Well, what do you do? When do you activate this? That's the true skill. What you need to be looking for is the enemy team to dedicate to a fight, and as soon as they do that, that's when Molten Core goes up. And you want to be careful as well that you don't use too many other ultimates on your team, because this alone will be enough to win out a fight, because it simply does too much damage. It's very difficult for the enemy team to focus and destroy the turret because it simply has so much health, and the same goes for you. The skill all relies on when someone or two people or three people initiate as a team, you pop the Molten Core, and that's pretty much the team fight there and then. Don't pop it too early and don't pop it too late if you've already won the team fight. That's kind of the biggest skill in this ultimate. Now, there is one more skill with this ultimate that you want to be careful of as well, and that is, well, what if they initiate on your turret first and they go to stick it with a pulse bomb? Well, what I do if a tracer goes to stick it with a pulse bomb is I will pop Molten Core, because if nothing else, if it doesn't even kill anyone, the turret is still up and it will stop people initiating, and it will postpone until the next team fight so you can build some more ultimate back. The worst situation that can happen as Torbjorn is if they destroy your turret and then you Molten Core, because you are a lot less useful when your turret isn't alive when you use this ultimate. So you have to weigh up your options in the game, the same as the rest of his kit. What is the best choice here? Do I pop this ultimate now so that I can keep my turret alive and postpone the fight out for the next 10 seconds? Or do I let them destroy it and hope we win the team fight anyway? It's not always an easy decision, but it's one you can't take lightly, and that's what Torbjorn's kit overall comes down to, guys. It is niche, and it's all about decision making. His turret placement, who you're shooting at, do you want to be left clicking or right clicking when you've got Molten Core? Because left click fires really fast, whereas right click can burn through the shotgun really quick. So if you miss them, well, maybe you should have been left clicking the whole time. The whole kit comes down to these mini micro decisions, and utilizing all of this stuff I mentioned in this guide should really help you guys out. The last thing is also the first thing I said, and I really want to reiterate that the map is very dependent on whether you can pick Torbjorn. He's not better than other heroes for attack. Yes, you can use him, but there's no point. On defense, on certain maps, it's also rough to run a Torbjorn because you really have to dedicate to that. Sometimes, like Volskaya, for example, if you want a Torb, you're probably going to need an Orisa to keep that turret alive. The best situations you can run him are where there is some kind of horrible angle that the enemy team have to approach you on in order to see that turret so it can do chip damage from afar. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you like Torbjorn? Do you play him? And if I missed anything, also let me know in the comment section down below. Be sure to check out our Twitter and our Discord Discord, where you guys can find the Torbjorn main of your dreams. And don't forget to hit that bell icon so you guys get notified when our videos go live. You should drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and have a great day as always. Take care and peace, people.